Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. Let's do this. News, news, news. Best on the interwebs. I'll try and keep it brief because, all the cool kids keep it brief. Anyway, something I wanted to start out differently though. This video, I want to do something crazy. I want to do like a MrBeast of board games, if you will. And I was trying to think about it for my year anniversary, or maybe for like the end of 2021, or crazy subscriber count. I was thinking 5,000, but then I was thinking 10,000, and do something crazy in that regard. Like if we got to, I thought I wanted to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. That's not going to happen. But if we got to say 5,000 by the end of the year, if we got to 7,000 by the end of the year, doubling where I'm at now, doing something crazy, doing something ridiculous, board game esque. If you're not familiar with MrBeast, he does things like, giving away an island, or playing super expensive tag, or staying underground for 50 hours in a coffin. Things like that, but board game related. What could be like that is feasible? I don't know. I was trying to rack my brain over the weekend of something that would inspire, something that would motivate, something that would really intrigue people. One, to help get me there, but two, to get them interested in something crazy like that. Because I'd love to do just crazy, weird things with board games, but I'm not creative. So that's where you guys come in. Let me know in the comment section. What can I do? What would be crazy? What would be something you'd love to see? What would be something you'd tune in for? Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk board game news and hotness. No one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, no one ever expects board game news Monday morning quarterback on a Tuesday, am I right? Anyway, second time around, because the first time around, I decided it wasn't good enough for you guys because there's just a picture of me in the lower corner that never changes because somehow the video feed cut out, but the audio kept going. Anyway, that's awesome, but let's talk about why we're here. Descent Legends of the Dark. This is the top game on the hotness. It's getting all the talk. It's getting all the mentions. Dice Tower put their review out. They did the Four Corners thing. NPI's putting their review out, I think, today as well. They were trying to give it out by. So if you're watching that instead of watching this, that's probably a good choice. They're more popular than I am by, I don't know, like 100-fold. And this is Fantasy Flight Games' spin on all things dungeon crawl. The Descent, not 3.0, Descent 3.0 dungeon crawl fantasy style theme with some of the best miniatures that people are talking about from a non-pure miniature company. These are, well, said miniatures. And people are talking because there's also a 3D terrain element that you're going to use. Now, I saw a post and I've seen several critiques of it. If you saw my video yesterday, it's the whole reason why Board Game Geek ratings don't matter. I also saw that Board Game Geek actually has a very interesting rating that you can look up, statistics that you can find, and the biggest standard deviation of games, of terms of who's rating what and how broad of a range of rating it has. This is the biggest standard deviation of any game with at least 100 ratings, period, already. Now, is it going to change? Obviously, but it's that divisive already from that standpoint of I love apps, I hate apps, where do you fall, what do you think of it? It is lighter, it is app driven, it is not as deep, it's not meant to be. It's meant to be for people like myself who do not have the 16 hours a week to throw into a board game. I have kids, I need easier setup, I need quicker, more accessible, and I have extra disposable income, so I'm going to pay more for this. And that's okay. But if that's not what you're looking for, if you're looking for the highly driven tactical combat, highly driven strategy style games, look elsewhere. But people are enjoying it for what it is. So that needs to be said too. And you're going to see it start to pop up everywhere online in short order. That's why it's number one on the hotness. Number two on the hotness is Arydia. If you're not familiar with Arydia, by Cody Miller, same guy who did Xayah, the spacefaring game, this is the open world take on the RPG scene side of things. And this is what people are clamoring for nowadays. Now, the interesting thing is, neither of the open world games that have come out in the past, couple weeks have been what people exactly expected, because apart from like preview content wise, a few of those for each video, myself included, for your lens of Galzyr, all of them have been, I think, just not what people initially had up here mentally, but what was actually out there. And so the discrepancy, that's the big one I think that's going to hit more so with Arydia, because there is less exposure, there is less playthrough, there is just less known about its nuances. It is probably going to be the closest thing to D&D dungeon crawl that's out there. And you need to be aware of that. The mechanisms in which the combat is using, sort of this Tetris style of block mashing and putting together, the exploration of these individual places is going to be more detailed, more potentially, I don't like this word, fiddly, whatever that means. And some people aren't going to like it. And it reminds me more of Root and Oath in that sense, where you have people what they think this game is and what this game actually is. I think it's a good value. I think it's a good proposition, but I don't think it's for everyone. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get this game, and you're going to see it on the secondary market for that reason, because of expectations. That's why you need to look at the gameplay in the rulebook. Anyway, I've preached about that enough. I've talked about Arydia. I'm going to maybe do a should you back Arydia. There's already like 2 should you backs out, so take that for what you will. But if you want more information, stay tuned closely to the campaign. The one thing I will say as a side note, I like the fact that they went with the true funding goal. I love it. $720,000. I love it. There you go. Alien, The Fate of Nostromo. This is a middleweight $25 retail store level version of Alien and Nemesis, if you will. And it's the original Alien. Not Aliens, Alien, where you are only trying to survive as one of the players and the alien is trying to pick you off. And you have to achieve certain survival mechanics and utilize scraping together whatever you can around the ship in order to survive and get one of the final 5 missions that you're given and then complete it to win the game. Again, here you go. You see a little bit of the aesthetic. Again, nothing to write home about, but it gives you the alien vibe. So it's trying to stay true to that. It's going to be lightweight enough. Is it going to be heavy enough to induce more than 4 or 5 plays if there's only 5 endgame scenarios? It's lightweight, like I said, like $27-$28 at retail right now. So people are picking it up to see. But the question is whether or not it's going to stand the test of time. And honestly, I don't know. I'm not personally a big fan of the alien theme, but I know a lot of people are, and it's hitting the waves for that reason. So if you're interested, check it out. Next, we got Ankh, Gods of Egypt. And this is the latest CMON. This is on the hotness because it's being delivered, because people are scalping it, because people are turning it over. People admitting openly. The first time I've really seen people openly admit online that they bought extra copies just to scalp. It's kind of weird. But I saw people selling like an all-in for 600 plus. And you know, I'm all for, you know, making a little bit of money, but like selling it for like double the price is insane to me. And it is the last in the trilogy of the Eric Lang area control style games. It has a unique mechanic where you are merging at the end of the game players to go up against, you know, the leader or the leaders. I don't really know what the mechanic is, but that seems to be the most divisive topic. I've also heard mentioned that it apparently, supposedly, plays much better at the mythical 2 count. So we'll see if that actually holds up true. I believe the Four Corners review was just out this past week. It's going to be interesting. Again, I'm not an area control person. There's lots of exclusives. You know that the exclusives are going to be a plethora across the board. The question is, do you actually need those exclusives? Does it make the game incomplete? Those are the arguments that I always see tossed around. And just how much better does the game make in terms of those expansions? And, you know, how many of those expansions are you ever actually going to play? So this is a game that was going to reward repeated plays, just like a lot of these area control games do. And that's the other thing you need to take into account, and whether or not you're interested in backing it in the first place, or buying it, or picking it up in the secondary market, or whatever you think from that standpoint. That is where your money is well spent. If that's not what you do, then maybe this isn't for you, but it's different. It's very highly tactical and strategic from what people are saying. And so far, the overall impressions are positive. So there's going to be more coming again. Just like with Descent, this is going to be all over the place in the next couple weeks, so be aware. Next up is Boonlake. This is the latest from Alexander Pfister, as you can see at the top there. This is a civilization building game where you are going to this area called Boonlake, next to a lake where, you know, you are establishing your civilization and you are given the reins to the kingdom in order to do whatever you so choose to do. Now, Pfister, you may know, and the other reason that this is on the hotness is that the other announcement that went along with this was the expansion for the Maracaibo game, his more worker placement or Euro style mechanism game. Maybe not exactly worker placement, but Euro style. And this went right along with this. And so we're going to see what from an open world Civ building, not really open world, from a Civ development side of things, where you have unique action mechanic that they talk about in very vague terms of being able to do different things different ways in terms of building. So we're going to see how this compares to other things that are out there, because it sounds a little bit unique in that sense, and we're going to see what it does comparatively to, I don't know, the open world, the Civ building genre. How does it differentiate itself? Again, retail, be aware, pre-order at your own risk. Speaking of other retail games, Gargoyles, the IP from our childhood as an animated cartoon where the Gargoyles have all of a sudden been reanimated after centuries or millennia of being frozen as, actual stone gargoyles, and they're going up against one of their two various bad guy nemesis, Xanatos or Demona, the evil gargoyle, where you are playing as one of the obviously 6 illustrated gargoyles on the front cover in a cooperative version of the game, where you are trying to defeat one of the various enemies, except for one scenario where you can actually go head to head. Now, again, reskinning a classic IP, is it going to hold up? Is it going to be more like the Wonder Woman game that came out a year or two ago, where it initially got a little bit of traction, but people said, you know what, it needs more, it needs an expansion, it needs something to give it more variability? Are you going to see this, or is it going to be sort of a one-off where they're just trying to, I hate to say this, cash grab based on nostalgia? And we're seeing more of this, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The price is good. The increased complexity from a retail standpoint for people that might not be familiar with this is good, but is it actually going to be good overall long term? Would it stay in your collection just like the Alien game? I don't know. That's my biggest fear. That's why sometimes I really hold off on these retail releases, but it's good to see we're getting a lot more of this type of stuff at retail in the first place. Next up, Lands of Galzyr. Like I mentioned earlier, we covered this one. Open world, adventure, quest style, completely open in terms of what you want to do, how you want to do it, in the order in which you want to do it, how you want to go about it. A better version, a more streamlined version with a web page compared to something like Seventh Continent, where you don't feel like you're doing the same grind over and over again. You can just go out and explore. Obviously, it's not going to be as, I don't think, as massive as the Seventh Continent and the Seventh Citadel will be, but it took away a lot of the overhead, like when I was talking about Descent earlier, in terms of things that can play easily with family, with multiple groups, multiple types of groups, solo. It's hitting all of those key demographics that something like Seventh Continent just doesn't do. And it plays well. I think it scales better than Seventh Continent and that style of game. It's definitely not for everyone, though, because it is less competitive and more a Tales of Arabian Nights, if you will, from that side of things. Now, you can definitely play it more competitively, but I don't really think that captures the true essence of it. I did a little bit of a review on the copy that was sent to me from Sammy, so if you want that, you can check that out on my video section. But otherwise, it's doing well. It's 6 figures on GameFound, and you should check it out if you're interested. Next up on Kickstarter is the latest expansion for Excavation Earth, and this is sort of a economic worker placement style game, and the latest expansion, It Belongs in a Museum, is adding a museum board to this very creative space hopping, digging, excavating for resources style of game. You get this museum board that is going to be adding, I think, like 2 end game sort of side conditions, more quests in terms of putting things in the museum to get points for victory points, but also some endgame credits that you can earn as well in that way by using the museum in the first place. It's on Kickstarter. Again, it's doing very, very well. It's, I believe, at least 2 or 3 times its funding goal, and it's aesthetically very pleasing in terms of what the mechanics are and what the pictures look like in terms of the board. So if you're interested, you can check it out. I believe they have the base game as well as I think there's another expansion in the first place. So if it kind of tickles your fancy, go on and check over the Kickstarter page in the first place. Next up, we have Cascadia. I believe this is from Flat Out Games. This is going to be popping up now. It's been delivered to a lot of the Kickstarter backers. People are starting to talk about it. I have played it. I ordered a Kickstarter copy, so I got my copy about a week or 2 ago. I'll flat out tell you, this is going to be on a lot of people's top 10 lists of the year. It's that good. I am that pleased with it. It is variable. It's family weight. It's gamer weight. It's solo. You can do all of it. It somehow manages that notch of complexity, but not being too much overhead. And it allows the adaptability with how you are choosing these tiles as well as the animals in the first place. Now, you can make an argument that this little scoring pad that you're seeing on the side here, that is definitely the most burdensome thing at the end of the game. But again, it's relatively straightforward. It's nuanced enough. The scoring conditions are variable. You have about 5 different ways of scoring each of the different animals. So it's a mix there that is very appeasing. And unlike something like Tiny Towns, which I did not find as fun, it's still a Bernie math puzzle that I enjoy sometimes. This was more of the Bernie math puzzle that I enjoy at the same time without being too burdensome from that side of things. So like I said, I have no doubt that a lot of people are going to have this on their top 10. So if you weren't interested and you are interested, you should be checking it out, because honestly, my bias is that I think it's that good. But that's why it's on the hotness too. Next up, we have Coffee Traders. This is a 2 to 5 player game where you take on the role of a fair trade coffee organization in the 1970s, I believe in South America. And you are trying to establish the best trade routes, the best networks, the best selling of said coffee in an economic style of games. Has a little bit of area influence, has a little bit of majority, has a little bit of, almost Euro style mechanisms. And it's going to be very interesting. This is definitely a way heavier game than someone myself is going to be interested in, but the theme is unique. The mechanisms are definitely going to be on the side of people favoring that heavy style, and it's kind of aesthetically pleasing just with a few of the pictures here. So it's more of a question of why now? And I believe it's a latest retail release from them. I could be completely wrong on this. I know Tom Vassell just put out his review, and so that's probably a little bit why it's shooting up the hotness, but that's kind of what you got to know about it, whether or not it's for you. So next up, we're going to go off of the hotness. We're going to see what else is out there. The first big thing that's out there is from Orange Nebula. They are launching a game called Spiritfire sometime in 2022. If you remember Orange Nebula, the most recent release, which I believe is in the process of being fulfilled to backers right now, is Unsettled. This planet designing, hopping sort of game, resource gathering puzzle-ish crowdfunder from a couple years ago. And this is going to be the next one. And they say all you need to know is sign up for the email list because it's unlike and unrelated to anything else released before. Most significant passion project. So again, no idea what that means. No idea what it entails. There's a teaser video right here that you can check out that's a minute or two long. But again, if you like the previous stuff that they put out, it's probably worth having on your radar already, because who knows, we're probably going to have to start to budget for 2022 with the rates that the prices are increasing in 2021. Next up, we have from Modiphius. Now, they're putting out Skyrim, and Skyrim's also been very closely held to the vest, but they also recently announced, I'm assuming this is retail, a retail release of a James Bond board game. Now, one of the articles that I originally found this on was claiming it was the first James Bond tabletop game, and I was like, well, that legendary James Bond tabletop game apparently is just being overlooked from 2019. But this is where you are trying to be Spectre's #1. Now, I'm not going to say the Spectre abbreviation because I'm going to screw that up on camera, but you are playing as one of these villains trying to do your nefarious themes, sort of like what I thought potentially Victorian Masterminds from Simon retail side of things was going to be, but this is the James Bond version of that, where you are planning evil things. Bond is going to try to stop you. You are going to spy on your opponents, blackmail your rivals, build your empire, and try and take over the world. The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. The whole theme song, one is a genius and the other's insane. It's one of those where everybody always assumed that Brain was the genius and Pinky was insane, but it's actually vice versa. Anyway, think about that one for a second if you didn't know that. But this is what you're trying to do. Again, price point, what is it going to look like? What sort of mechanisms is it actually going to have? There's not really a whole lot to base it off of. You see a little bit of this, so maybe some quests, maybe some area management, individual player boards, but that's all we know. But if you're a James Bond fan, or if you like this sort of game to begin with, where head-to-head, that sort of thing, check it out. Two last things designed into one. 2 expansions for Viscounts of the West Kingdom have been announced from Garfield Games. The first is Gates of Gold. The second is Keeper of the Keys, both offering a little bit of more of everything in this third game in the West Kingdom trilogy that you may or may not be interested in. This, in particular, has 3 more buildings and new townsfolk to begin with. Gates of Gold has a new King's Order, as well as Outsider cards and some more buildings. So, if you're a fan of the base game, I don't know if this is going to be coming to crowdfunding, but lately I think Garfield has been going that way. And if you're a fan of it, it's well thought of already, especially in the line of the West Kingdom trilogy, like I mentioned. If you're interested, you'll have to wait and see when they announce more of when a crowdfunding campaign might be released. Right now, these are both designated in Board Game Geek as 2022. So there we go. Your quick interwebs roundup, non sequitur Liege experience. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully you've enjoyed the stuff I've been putting out lately. Hopefully you remember what I said at the beginning of the video. If you skip to the end of the video, I'm going to give you a recap. I want to do something crazy MrBeast style for a notable subscription count or notable 1-year anniversary or notable end of 2021, whatever, something like that. But I can't think of anything because I'm not very creative, so I need your suggestions. What would be crazy that you would watch, that you would think that would go viral? I'm open to ideas. What did I miss around the news? What did I miss out there on the web? What would you like to see in the future on the web, on the board game side of things? Let me know in the comment section. Help me help you. Have a great day. Hopefully Tuesday surprise wasn't too bad for you. Stay classy. I'll see you around. So, spoilers here at the end, right? I told you I'd do this every once in a while. So, what we've got here, I don't know if you can see these. You see what that says? Yeah, resins from Storm Sunder. I'm going to do an unboxing, maybe later this week, release it, so you can see what these actually look like. I've also got a couple other things up the shelf that you haven't seen yet. A couple emails from a couple companies interested to get something sent over to me. Also going to have a couple reviews out later this week, hopefully as well. Maybe one. Really, really good filler game. Really good. Really happy with it. So if fillers are your thing, or lighter style things that play 15 to 30 minutes, I got one for you. It's great. Great. Spoilers. See you around.